All right, perfect. So, all right, there I am. All right, well, thank everybody for showing up today. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I really appreciate everybody coming to this. The theme of the talk today that I'm going to be giving is keep it moving. And it's a little bit of play on words because I used to be in the IT business for 20 years. But I want to tell you a little bit of the backstory about myself and to really understand how I got to the point that I'm at today. Think it's really important for you to understand where I came from so that you understand that I deserve the right to be here to speak with you guys today, and I've earned the right. So I shouldn't even be here. If it had not been for a sequence of events, I would have ended up in a totally different solar system. With the events of the last couple decades, it's just been a whirlwind for me. And so I need to tell you the story. And to be able to do that, I need to go back to when I was a younger lad, to about 15, to a small town in rural Wisconsin. And so what I'm going to show you here today, this is the very first business that I started. This is actually me on my riding lawnmower. And we're going to put this in presentation mode here so you can see it in full screen. Um, and so this is me on my lawnmower at a very young age, and I am literally starting one of my very first businesses here. You can see me. I have got a smile on my face from ear to ear because I had just borrowed the money to buy this lawnmower here. I had been mowing lawns for the last summer. I had a number of clients that I'd worked out, and with that lawnmower, it was going to allow me to actually grow my business. So my grandma and grandpa actually helped me finance buying this thing. And it literally allowed me to double and triple my business. And so this would be a long start of businesses for me. And here's another businesses that I start. I had the Music Man and Wired World Consulting. So I had an IT consulting business before I was 18. That was my first corporation that I started there. We did weddings, we did bars, we did all that fun stuff. And so here's me a couple of years later. This is actually about a decade ago up in northern Minnesota. This was where we're gonna start this story because it's kind of how I got to Fort Wayne. And so this actually was taken. I was working at a small regional critical access hospital up in northern Minnesota at the time, and we had just moved my family up there. It was kind of a slow process. First it was me, and then my wife came, and then the girls came, and I think the boys came after that. They were living with their grandpa and grandma for a little while. But the winter that we moved there, the first winter that we were there was one of the coldest winters, I think, in the history of Minnesota. It was like, did not get above 32 below zero for 40 days. And somehow those kids never missed a day of school. And so my wife and I were able to get one of our first actual vacations together where we went out to Colorado. And it was during that trip to Colorado that we decided that we wanted to spend more time traveling with our kids. And so that's kind of how we started a business that would end up taking our kids to almost every state in the country. So after that contract ended, you'll see here, this is an RV that I bought. Moved my family into this. This is in the local city park. My plan was to drive this RV around the world, well, around the United States at least, and go see the country. And little did we know that shortly after we were going to buy this RV, that the back wall would come separated from the unit. We'd have to take it back to the dealer to get it fixed. There's so many things that we did not know. Everything went wrong. Everything was breaking. Gas was terribly expensive. It got like 2 miles to the gallon. And 2 weeks after this photo was taken, we almost got hit by a tornado. And so that was enough for that. We ended up going to my mom's house and we needed to regroup and kind of figure out where we were going to go. And so I've been watching a show called Shipping Wars on TV, and I remember distinctly, I told Margot one day, I said, I know we can do this. Let's do this. And so we hauled this car here. You see the U-Haul trailer in the background. It's a Mazda Miata. The vehicle that it's hooked up to is a Honda Pilot. It is not the right vehicle to be hauling that type of equipment within the mountains. But when we pulled into this parking lot at this time this picture was taken, I had $0 to my name. The only thing I had was that check from that car, and I'd spent my last unemployment check. So Margot needed to pivot very quickly and come up with how are we going to make our next dollar. And so she was able to find a young couple that needed to move to Michigan. She was able to find us a washer and dryer that needed to go to Massachusetts. And don't ask me how that made any sense because I think they spent more money shipping the items than what the items were worth. But that started just a series of events. Here's Margot Holland. One of the trips she took. I think we went to Tennessee. She went to Tennessee with a motorcycle in this particular picture. But eventually, I would go to 48 states. I'd have 3 trucks, 3 trailers. We'd see most of the U.S. by land. We did over $300,000 in that business during the course of the time that it was operational, over 2 years. Margot ended up hauling, like I said, here's this picture for that. This is one of the first trips that I took out to Washington State, and you can actually see my mom's Ford F-150 up here. That truck had like 200,000 miles on it when I started. There is a boat engine sticking out of the back of the truck. We had to take the tailgate and the back window off the topper because the boat motor stuck out past the back of the tailgate. And then we were loading this truck up. We had to abandon this truck at the Stevens Pass up in Washington State because we were trying to drive it at a camper on this thing when we went across the United States, and then a Honda Goldwing sticking off the back of this trailer. And literally some crazy stuff happened. So this is the truck. I've lived in this truck, in this back seat of this truck, slept in that back seat for a long period of time. Eventually, it was a major upgrade. I found this camper, I think up in Maine, bought the camper, lived in that truck camper for a while. You can see how it's attached to the truck. It is literally the sketchiest thing possible. Basically, it was like filled with wood on the inside. And so got ahead of myself a little bit here. So I cannot possibly tell you the obstacles that were required to overcome. I'll go ahead and I'll fast forward here. This is in upstate New York, and you cannot tell, it does not adequately depict the cliff that this trailer is hanging off of. But if it wasn't for the snowbank there, that whole truck was literally sliding. It was so heavy that it was sliding and being sucked off this cliff here. I had to detach that trailer and have the tow truck pull me out, and then I had to come up and together with a tow truck, we had to pull this trailer back up on that hill. This was one of my last trips. After this, I pretty much decided when I was on my way back that this was it. And so driving past Fort Wayne, I was driving past Sweetwater, and I remember calling my wife and I said, I'm gonna work at Sweetwater. And she goes, what is Sweetwater? I said, I have no idea, but I'm gonna work there. And so 3 weeks later, I'd eventually take a job there, being a sales engineer, and I would give up my life on the road. My wife, actually, we couldn't even afford to have her live in Fort Wayne when we first moved here 6 years ago. I had to live in a basement in Sherwood to Pettit, and I made $500 a week. And so trying to even find our first rental house and live in Fort Wayne was almost impossible. So this is reminiscing a little bit here. This is the one of the most iconic coastal pictures of in the United States, right along outside of Malibu here. Some of the most valuable real estate in the world is out there. My assistant's not very happy with me. He's deathly ill in this picture. But I went around the United States and ended up picking up I think 28 of these antique Harley Davidsons during the course of the time that I was on that business, but got to meet a lot of great people, got to go a lot of great places. Little did I know how much it was going to change my life till today. And so I eventually left Sweetwater, would eventually get a job, and I lost that 3 days into the pandemic. So this is actually a picture of me here that you can see when this is kind of the peak of the pandemic. I had just got fired from my IT job, and we were supposed to close on our first house on Monday morning after this photo was taken. And I took it pretty hard. I gained a lot of weight, and it was really, really hard. And we had an RV, an older RV that was able to help us to get by for the period of time. Due to my experience working at Sweetwater, I was lucky enough I was able to start a website, sell ukuleles during the pandemics. Ended up selling like $100,000 in musical instruments on my website, something that I'd later maybe almost got sued for, but that's a story for a different time. We'd eventually move on and we would grow an IT business. So you can kind of see here M6 Networks was a company that we started, made almost $300,000 in that business in the last couple of years. But this is where it starts to get interesting. And so during a family trip down to Florida, we decided to rent an RV through a site. And so I was thinking about this and I realized we could totally do this the same thing. And we came back from that trip, and you can see in my driveway here, we bought an RV. And this ended up being a business that we would end up buying 3 RVs. We'd end up doing over $100,000 in rentals. Eventually, it would lead to me getting this RV here. But during the process of going through this, we got qualified. We were going to be approved to buy a house. And so we went from what was basically a dilapidated house that had asbestos roofing, asbestos siding, was falling apart, to being able to buy a brand new house. And so just off the side of this picture is actually my brand new house that I bought 2 years ago, just over 2 years ago. And in October of last year, September or October last year, year before, I rented this RV out to a couple from town here that worked at a real estate company, a local boutique company called ADT. So I had a conversation in that RV with who would eventually become our team members. And then eventually I'd meet my real estate mentor who's been in the business for 37 years. The person that taught me and my wife how to sell real estate after our experience when we had 12 agents that would help us would teach us the best practices of real estate. He sold 950 homes during the course of his time. When you're selling 180 homes. So fast forward till today, nobody would know where we would be today. I met just the right people at just the right time in my life. We are now today, we're building a team. We're coaching other agents. We're bringing an extensive 20 years of experience in the IT business into our real estate business. And in our first year in real estate, we did about $100,000 in commission, mainly off of internet leads. So that's 40 homes. Nobody does 40 homes their rookie year selling real estate. And so that pretty much gets us caught up till today. I want to give you that context so you understand who I am and where I've been. And in hindsight, I think a lot of these business accomplishments are great. But as I continue to grow, there's a lot of things that I really didn't know. And so that's what I want to talk to you about today is there's a few things that I want to share that I think will help you become better in your life. And the first thing is that 3 questions to solve any problem. And these are a great framework of how you, when faced with an insurmountable challenge, can solve it. First thing is we need to ask ourselves, what can we do? We need to brainstorm ideas and come up with a solution. Chances are no one's coming to save you. You're probably going to have to do it yourself. The next thing is, what could I read? There's tons of resources out in the marketplace for everyone to have no excuse to learn. You have Google, you have books. Last thing is, if those don't work, who could I ask? And there are great people out in this world that you can definitely reach out to that will give you the right answer. Once you realize that your life is literally a series of problems and how you choose to overcome those problems is the essence of life, you're going to be a lot further ahead in the game. When you become a problem solver, your value becomes indestructible. And nobody is going to take that away from you. My rate is my rate. I charge $200, $250 an hour, and that is how much I charge because for 20 years, I've earned that rate. And so there's a lot of days that I demand more out of myself than what anybody can possibly dream up. So for the past 20 years, I've provided the bulk of my own employment. But I've had to set some guidelines to get to me to where I am today. A great friend says, be willing to compete at a level your competition did not know existed. I love that. So I used to think that I was doing really good. I was really proud of myself for being where I'm at today, but in a lot of ways, I was not thankful for what I had. And if you've ever heard the saying, I complained a lot about not having two shoes until I met a man with no feet. Wait until you meet a man with no arms or legs. So a couple weeks ago, I was able to meet Nick, and Nick has surpassed me in every way. In as a businessman, as a man himself, in his faith, every way, he surpassed me. And I just ask you, what excuse do you have? I mean, he's got no arms, he's got no legs, and he day trades stocks from his cell phone. So I hope that empowers you, because the only thing that's going to lead you to a better future is you. You need to be eager to learn, and you need to be able to try new things, and failing fast is critical. The other thing I can offer you is to be prepared like a Boy Scout and be passionate about what you do. It's going to help it make it a little bit easier to try to be pleasant, right? I might need a little help in that area. But this all goes to your mindset. And I try every day to eliminate the scarcity mindset that I was born into and live an empowered life, because I've seen that the only way somebody can reach their full potential in this world is to live an empowered life. So that's the next thing I want to give you is, this is my offer of support. I have seen this in every way, is that you need a coach. Everybody needs a coach. They need mentors. If you don't have one, talk to me. I can help you. If you can name one great person that didn't have a coach, I will be more than happy to wait. There's more opportunity for us to improve in our lives in every way, but we need to focus on areas that we need to seek guidance and focus on that. Ask for the guidance and try to seek an understanding of how somebody got where they're at today. They will help you. They're really hard time committing the money required to get to the next level of my life, but I can clearly see now what I thought was a failure in the middle was just about to get good. Nobody ever tells you about the pain that you're going to have to go through. And if you're wondering what that looks like, and you own a pickup truck, go sleep in the back of it for a couple days and find out. John Maxwell says, people want to do what you do, but they don't want to do what you did. And this is so true. I cannot possibly tell you how true this is, because it's a direct proportion of the pain that we're willing to endure that will determine if we get to where we want to be. So my wife sometimes will get on me because I sometimes compare myself to others that are in the business that I'm in. But for me, I will stop not when I'm tired, but when I'm dead. But you need to realize some things, and like I said, failing first. The faster you fail, the better you're off you're going to be, because you could move on to the next thing. So the next thing about it is nobody cares. Nobody cares about you. Nobody cares about the thing you care about besides you. The sooner you realize that nobody is coming to save you, the sooner you can go save yourself. I was alongside the road many times, and I'm sure I could have called AAA to come do something. But the reality is as soon as I start moving, I can get on with my life and get towards where I want to be. So every one of those things is a stepping stone. It's a shift in your mindset. And so the last thing that I learned is does not equal happiness. You could make a lot of money. And I may have lured some people in today by talking about the fact that I made a lot of money. The reality is that never brought me happiness. What brings me happiness is helping other people. And so as soon as I realized that I need to learn to eliminate a win-lose mindset, as soon as I realized I needed to help people by reaching their best life, that's when I got in the right mindset. And it's a superpower, it really is. So the thing I just want to leave you with today is the only way that we're really ever free is to have freedom of time. That starts with empowering others now. And only a secure leader can really do this. And so after we leave here today, I ask you what changes they're going to make. The changes that you're going to make, you need to do it now. You need to do it now because if you don't win, and don't be casual, because casualness brings casualties. So everything that you do in this world, I want you to do it with a purpose. And I want you to mean it and do it big. 10x, right? So thank everybody for coming today. I really appreciate your time. Hopefully this was beneficial for you. And love to do something like this with you in the future here. Have a great day.